Clean breath is great. That's right. Clean breath is great. Barton level 8, lesson 10. The thing that's not great about that is that those EAs are saying something different in each of those words. E as in clean, E as in breath, A as in great. So let's talk about it. All right. So we've got the word flee right here, and we have the common spelling EE at the end. There is another way to spell it though, and that is going to be with the EA. So right away, we're going to talk about homonyms and how many homonyms have the EE versus the EA. And there's lots of them. So this is one where your student really needs to know their vocabulary, not just with some of these more obscure words, but they also need to make sure they're using the right spelling for these words. So obviously flee is going to mean the little insect, but then we also have the first flee, which we had, which would be leaving, okay? And we have other words that are similar, like sea in the ocean, and sea, I told you, T as in golf, and T. Okay. And then we will see this EA at the beginning of words. It's not the most common spelling, but it's definitely something we use. You will see it at the beginning of the word, like eat or each or eve, like the eaves on your house. We'll see it in the middle of the word. Might see it in a word like seat. And you're also going to see it at the end of the word uncommonly. Usually when you see the EA at the end, it's going to say ea, like idea. Okay, so usually that's going to be a split vowel team. Each are going to have their own sound there, ea, like azalea, but not always. Okay, so we can see a word like see right here, or a word like guinea pig, that has just one sound. But if you see an EA in a multi-syllable word, there's usually going to be a one-syllable base word associated with it. So we can see the word clean. We can build that to make that much longer, like unclean or cleaners. Still, a one-syllable base word is there. And we can keep going with upheaval. What is the base word? The base word is heave. Okay, so could this be the right way to spell heave? No, it's not. We quickly review that would have to have the letter E there. Now, this creates kind of a massive problem for our kids because we have so many gosh darn ways of spelling the E sound. Let's take a look really quickly at all the different ways that we have to spell the E sound. So I did make this sheet up here. I will attach it to the practice work or to a downloaded file for you, but I think it's worth noting how many different ways you have to spell the E sound. Okay, look at just at the end of the word, the final sound we have an open E, we have a more common like the Y as in happy or baby or copy. We have the vowel team EE like tree, chimpanzee, absentee. Oh, there's a little typo on that. Should make that smaller so that will fit on one page, or committee. It's kind of also a little bit of a suffix there. It can have meaning. We've got IE, like as in a lot of names, Annie or Cutie or Jeannie, and we have vowel team EY. This is very uncommon though, as in key, valley, trolley, pulley, and then we have vowel team EA. So many different choices. But it's really, when it comes down to it, if you look at all the red that we have on here, you can really see that we can start to kind of eliminate some of these choices, okay? Because some of these are just very uncommon. The IE in the middle of a word like chief, peace, yield, or believe, those are uncommon spellings. So if a student has to choose, sure, are they going to get it wrong sometimes? But most of the time, I want them to choose an EE or an EA. It's just going to work more often. Okay. So, again, we look at a word like oatmeal. This is a compound word. And when I said that most oftentimes we're going to see the EEA in a one syllable word. I mean, this holds true for oatmeal. Even though it's a multi-syllable word, the base word meal is still a one syllable word. Okay, so then we talk a lot about, and we start to look up words like peel. Okay, how many different homonyms are there for peel? Well, we know for sure there's two. Peel as in a banana peel, but then we have the uncommon one, which is peel, like as in I heard the bell peal, meaning ring. Okay. Next one, team. I'm also teaching your student that the most common way to spell the E sound in the middle is actually this EE. And if they need to look it up, I would always start with the EE. So even though team, meaning a swarm, like my kitchen is teeming with fruit flies today, even though this is an uncommon way of using team, it's still a word and it's still something that your students should know. Team versus team. Okay, so many homonyms right now. All right, so that's the first tricky part, but wait, there's more. All right, so the next tricky part is that the EA also says as in bread. Okay, so it's making the short as an Eddie sound here, but wait, there's more. This can also be bread. So we're still dealing with all these homonyms, okay? Bread, like as in raise a horse versus bread as in like bread you eat, right? Okay, so that leads to this word, red, okay? The color. Read, I read a book. Oh, but wait, that can also be read. So it can also say E right there. Read, I'm going to go read a book. But there's another homonym for reed, meaning grass, which is the EE. I know it's a lot. Okay. So we have the same thing with the word lead. It can also be the word lead. But we can also spell lead like this, right? So you got to know which one you're using to have it be correct, okay? All right, so we see, we'll practice going back and forth between the E and the sound, like heavy, as an Eddie, meadow, as an Eddie, health, as an Eddie. But now we get to the word breakfast, okay? Still as an Eddie, but this says A as in break. Okay, now technically when we're talking about breakfast, it's because we're breaking our fast, but we don't say break fast, we say breakfast, okay? So EA can also uncommonly, very uncommonly, not very often, can say A as in break, all right? So again, this is an uncommon spelling. So this will be the vowel team that I want my students to use if they're going to look something up. If they're unsure, I want them to use AI. It's the most common spelling for the A sound. So great, like as in this is so great, right? I would still have them look it up with an AI here if they didn't know. They're going to get both of the homonyms for it, which is great, as in I'm going to go grate some cheese, because there's also a silent E that we can use here. Or great, as in this is so great that it has so many spelling or so many sounds. Great. All right. So, yeah, we're really getting into the weeds on all these spellings, but I mean, your student has earned this. They have worked really hard to get to this level, and so we want to celebrate it and not see it as a hindrance. So let's switch. Let's talk about the practice pages. Draw a line between words that rhyme. So we've got seven and heaven. We've got stealthiness and wealthiness. We've got ready and teddy. We've got better and sweater. We've got scream and team. I think it would have been better if they made this TEEM here, but that's just me. Peeling, stealing. Oh, there's one where they do that. Treasure and measure. feature and creature, and breaking and waking. And I love that they did the different spellings here. That might be tricky for some kiddos, but it's worth seeing. Oh, sorry, I wasn't done with that. Circle only the words in which EA makes the same sound, A as in great. Now, I just want to tell you, I take issue with this a little bit, like this page in particular, and so I want to give you a heads up about it. Easily this one, A as in steak, A, breaker, great. The rest of these, I think they say a different sound than just the straight A. On bear, I hear air, air. I think that we have to think of the EAR kind of together as one sound, air. So I take a little bit of exception with this, but these are the answers right here. Okay, if we go through, we've got E as in endeavor, A as in steak, E as in heather, A as in breaker, E as in leaves. On bear, I just hear it as air, but I do hear the A sound, but I don't hear air. Eason, but air, lee, eek, proof, meaningful, bleachers, headquarters, what, elf, and what, air. Again, I hear it as air. Sorry, it's just me. I don't think it's just me, actually. I think it's a lot of people, but those are the answers. Nonetheless, I would say if your student is like, I don't hear it that way, just leave it. Just have those two, the steak and the, I can't remember the other sound, the steak and the breaker. That's fine. Just have those highlighted. It doesn't, it's fine. They're hearing them really clearly then, and that's what the exercise is really about. Okay, so for this one, add EA or IE to correctly spell the E sound in each real word. Write the entire word on the blank line. Use the spell checker if needed. I think students will need to use a spell checker on these. Again, the IE is a very uncommon way to spell this sound. We have not talked about EI yet. I think we might be doing it next. Let me look in the book here. Yeah. So we'll be getting to it next, but this is a good way to drill it down and make sure they understand that IE says E, okay? I don't want it confused with the EI, which we're going to talk about next time, all right? So dreamer, measles, fierce, heating, retrieve, meanwhile, cashier, flee, grease, belief, and squeamish, and that's that. And then we can take a look at the fluency drills that we have. No, wrong one. Sorry, there's no, it looks like it's missing the heading on here. One of the things that I did assign one of my students to do was just to double check the meanings of some of the homonyms. So some of the homonyms that I can see on here really quick would be like beat, real, a lot of the one syllable words again, flee, stake, teams, leader can't be letter, but lead could be led. I guess those are some that I see really quickly. You can let me know if I missed something. I'm sure I am. And then same thing with this one. This is the second one. I guess the only thing I would do on this that would be any different is just make sure your student knows, again, the vocabulary on here. There might be some words that they haven't seen or don't know. I would also, if your student's struggling with these, I would isolate the sound again, or look for the base word, like usual, divide them up, the whole bit, like they've been doing the whole time. So anyhow, that is level 8, lesson 10. I feel like I've forgotten something, but that was a pretty long lesson, so I don't think I did. Memorizing is not reading. Onward. Let's wrap it up. Clean breath is great.